Hi guys, welcome to this tutorial. I wanted to do a bit of a tutorial on language paper 2 comparing perspectives, the question 4 challenging question. It is a tough ask. You've got two non-fiction texts and you've got to compare the perspectives in both of them, which in itself is quite tricky. So just on the screen here you can see really kind of how to approach that. It's around, at its heart, identifying two, maybe three perspectives from both texts. Basically try and put that into a one-sentence summary of what the writer's point of view, thoughts, feelings, ideas might be. So the writer feels intimidated by the landscape. The writer felt nervous as he went on his journey. So something quite straightforward that sums up that perspective. Then it's about finding your evidence to back it up, which is realistically a quote. And ideally, you need to find a method within that, whether it's a simile, a metaphor, it's dialogue, whatever it might be. And then the bit that's the sort of tricky a bit really around all of this is then the comparing how and why that perspective is similar or different. And in terms of that comparison, it's comparing is different, but it's about having a more detailed sense of how and why something's different rather than just cross-referencing something. I just want to exemplify with two slightly silly examples. The first one here is, and I can't confirm or deny whether that might be a picture of my dog with a birthday cake, but this is an example here looking at dogs. And then I'm going to look at a slightly silly example also from Love Island to exemplify that too. So if you think about these two statements being from different sources. So the first one, Henry's my world, is a big daft ball of Labrador energy, and I've no shame in admitting I love this dog more than I like most people. And then the second one, which you can read there for yourself, the hound has startling stature, fierce brutality. So I've just come up with two quite different statements, both about dogs. So kind of my first job of that is to summarize into my own words what the kind of point of view of the writer is. So in that first one, we can say that the writer loves dogs, clearly, and the second thing is that Henry seems to be a fun and friendly animal. Whereas in the second one, the dog seems vicious and the writer doesn't want to go near the dog. So if you just have a look at the example comparison that I've written down here. So that summary of the perspective, the writer of source one clearly loves her dog. That's the identification of perspective. And then I'm going in with a technique and an example. So the opening metaphor, Henry is my world, shows the dog has huge significance in her life. In fact, Henry is everything to her. The writer goes on to use another metaphor, big daft ball of Labrador, to show she feels her dog is, typo Lucy, fun, friendly, and although he is big, he is also daft, which suggests silliness but no malice. So a bit like you would for a language question, you are looking at an example and sort of zooming in on it. Rather than sort of effects on readers, you're more looking at the idea of how does that example contribute to your understanding of the writer's point of view and their perspective. And then going into your comparison, this is very different to source B, where the writer uses noun phrases, such as blah, 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 to suggest that this animal is far more ferocious than the daft Labrador. So that's my comparison. I'm saying that this one is more ferocious than the Labrador. I've made a connection there and actually used evidence also from source A. Equally, this writer refers to the dog as a beast, which evokes monstrous, frightening images, whereas a Labrador is a universally recognised cute family dog. So that idea here of a sustained comparison as I go into source B, making a connection and saying why that's different. So it's about examples, ideally methods, and definitely that sense of how and why the two sources are similar and are different. Okay, so that was one example. The second one is it's a really daft idea, but to think about perspectives, I think about something like Love Island. So if you look at this screen grab, you've got a number of well-known and now perhaps not very well-known, a couple of years on, Love Island contestants. And I think this is a really interesting way of looking at perspective and understanding what it is. I'll let you look at those for yourself. and just sort of see the way that, although they're in the same context, they're all there, they're all on this same reality TV show, they're all about, they're involved in this process of the recoupling, and yet they can all be having a slightly different point of view or perspective on that. Okay, to continue with this, then, in a similar way, we've got, look at that perspective. Love Island is filled with pathetic wannabes, only interested in fame, whatever the cost. And so your job for this question is to think about what is the person's perspective, really to use your inference skills to work out what their point of view is, and then to think, how are they using those particular words to convey that attitude? So if I take that noun phrase of pathetic wannabes, that to me is a key sort of key linguistic feature or key example that shows the point of view. To call someone pathetic, it's insulting. It shows that the writer thinks that these people are pointless, that they are a waste of time, that they've got no substance. And equally, the noun wannabes, it shows, it's a sort of sarcastic way, isn't it, of suggesting that these people are fame hungry and really lacking in kind of integrity or any of those qualities we might sort of think about. So just a simple quote like that, contrasted with this one, Love Island is frothy fun. So again, I would look at this quote and think, frothy fun. This alliterative noun phrase suggests to me that this writer thinks it's just, it's not serious. It's just a good laugh. It's not, anything that requires huge kind of stress and anxiety when you think about it. Okay, so just on here, I've done a comparison then of those perspectives, just the things that I've been talking about. So hopefully in the same way with my Henry Dog one, you can see that summing up what the person's perspective is, and then I'm coming in with evidence, methods, and also making that comparison into the second text. Okay, so I hope that's useful just to kind of get to the heart of what this question is asking you to do, and helping you to look at small examples from the text, not feeling overwhelmed by trying to compare the whole text and every point of view that you see in it. Okay, thank you for watching.